Now, if you were asked to design a museum inspired by Salvador Dali, one of the greatest surrealist artists who ever lived, how tempting would it be to shape it like a huge melting clock or like a lobster telephone? That would be crazy. Almost as crazy as, say, building a museum around an endless helical staircase. No one would ever be crazy enough to do that, right?
This is the Dali Museum, St. Petersburg. So, how did they build it? The story behind the museum and the artwork in it begins with a love affair started some 80 years ago.
This collection, which is the preeminent collection of Dali in the world, was formed by Reynold and Eleanor Morse. They had collected Dali from the first days of their romantic engagement. They actually bought each other a Dali painting as a wedding present.
That was in 1942, and over the next 25 years, they added to their collection, becoming both Dali's patrons and friends. In 1971, they decided to open their first Dali museum in Cleveland, Ohio, with Dali attending the opening in person. 10 years later, they decided to move the collection, and eventually, they found a location in St. Petersburg. The museum opened in 1981 in a downtown marine warehouse, and here it stayed for another 28 years. In 2008, the museum decides it wants to redesign the building. To do it, they bring in Jan Weymouth, who'd been involved in creating the glass pyramid at the Louvre in Paris. Jan has bigger and bolder ideas than simply redesigning the existing space. Having convinced the foundation that this irreplaceable collection needs a completely new building, Jan gets to work designing somewhere strong enough to protect it from Florida's most violent hurricanes. At the heart of the design is a box that will be so strong that it will fend off anything the weather throws at it. Although concrete and steel is a tried and tested construction method, building in Sunshine City gave the engineering team its first headache. Because so much concrete would be visible in the finished building, the design spec also requires minimal joints. The engineer's solution to both challenges is to use a system of formwork or molds, which they then fill with huge batches of concrete. But that creates another problem. Wood, the material traditionally used to build the molds, isn't going to be up to the job. It takes 7 months and 20,000 tons of concrete. But in October 2009, the cube is complete. It may have taken 3 years in the making, 10,000 yards of concrete, 220 miles of rebar, and 1,062 triangles of glass. But in 2011, the Dali Museum is finally complete and ready to throw open its doors to the public. Designed to survive the worst hurricanes imaginable, the Dali Museum will continue to keep this quiet corner of Florida weird for years to come.